morning and welcome to the latest in a long line of antisocial rants here on the Gribbly's Folly channel. This is the Gribbly's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour. I am Gribbly, and this is the time each week when I smoke my pipe, except not this week. Not this week. I cannot smoke my pipe with you this week because I have a tongue injury. That's right, I won't tell you how it happened because you'll get to see how it happened on the upcoming Random Misadventure video. Anyway, this is normally the time when I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity while answering its questions. And if I were smoking a pipe, I think it would be my Moulin Rouge Renoir, and I'm pretty sure it would be Old Dark Fire. That's the mood I am in, and it's really unfortunate because this is kind of, a lot of weeks, this is the only time all week long that I smoke a pipe, and I really miss it, and my tongue hurts. In fact, I don't know that I'll be able to make it through all this talking. I talked a lot yesterday. My tongue hurts even more than it did previous to that. And anyway, it's been a rough week. My allergies are terrible. People in the news won't stop killing each other. Could we just stop killing each other for like a week? Can you guys give me a break for a week? All right, but speaking of the news, we got to get on with the show. We got a ton of questions. Thank you for all your questions. Speaking of the news, this item stuck out from the smoking gun. A mother-daughter duo who used a $4,000 drone to drop a package of contraband behind the walls of a Florida prison will themselves serve time as a result of a felony plea deal struck with prosecutors. Court records show. This mother-daughter duo was caught driving around a prison late at night. Investigators subsequently recovered the drones. And there was a drone being piloted over the prison. The drone's cargo, a package containing tobacco and cell phones. The prison houses 1,500 male inmates, one of whom, at the time of the drone incident, was Andre Correa, a former Tampa resident serving a 25-year sentence on armed robbery. The mom of the duo admitted that the tobacco and cell phones were intended for this guy named Correa, who will not see the sun for 25 years. So here's my question to you. If you were in a prison for 25 years, and the other thing is, police identified Correa as the lady's spouse, a union that apparently occurred after Correa's incarceration, right? Okay, so you just committed armed robbery, and you're going to prison for 25 years. What's your first priority here? Find someone to marry? How did that work? How does that even, did you know her before? Okay, but the question is, you're going to be in prison for 25 years, and you've got your lady friend willing to fly a $4,000 drone over the prison to drop you tobacco. What kind of tobacco would it be? And why wouldn't you ask her to fly like a $500 drone and like $3,500 worth of tobacco? My tongue hurts and is bleeding, so I'm going to drink some coffee. This is the time when I answer all of your questions. And so if you're someone out there with a burning, inflamed, swollen, throbbing question that you just can't get an answer to anywhere else, I'm your guy. Leave it in the comments below with the hashtag AskGribbs, and I will answer any question. Almost. I think I'd have to go with Northwoods. If I were going to have Northwoods dropped in to my prison cell, that'd be a pretty good choice. But then you got to worry, like, do you need an aromatic to keep the other prisoners happy? You know, maybe the other prisoners would leave you alone if you smoked something like pirate cake. Oh, Greg and I were just talking about pirate cake, and I love pirate cake. That's the end of that story. To your questions. Amy Mack goes first because she has no Y chromosome. Ask Gribbs, what was the unworthy cause your basket pipe went to? Well, this is about the story that I gave away my first pipe to an unworthy cause. My first pipe was a basket pipe. And it was a buddy of mine that occasionally liked to smoke a pipe. And I sent it to him in the mail because I didn't smoke it. And it's just taking up room on my pipe stand, you know? That was back in the days when I limited myself to a pipe stand. Now I have a pipe rack. Anyway, I sent it to him. I don't know that I doubt he ever smokes it, which is why I called it an unworthy cause. Now, Amy Mack says, follow up to the shaman stuff. By the way, I'm a level 50 shaman if you're just tuning in. My spouse controls the local weather What level shaman do we think she is? Local weather? I'd say like a 17, you know? When you get to the El Nino stuff, ask me again. Last week we talked about guns, and Sam says, after all that, you still forgot to mention no guns equals no gun deaths. And yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. However, it's not that simple. And I don't know, we had some had some international folks saying the same thing. And in America, I don't think I can communicate to you how many guns we have. There's a lot of guns here. And guns they're durable, right? So even if you just boom, banned all guns for 300 years, you'd still have working guns and ammunition. It's not something that can just go away, even if you had the political will to do it. So I get that. Yes, what you're saying is true. It's also true that if we just didn't murder each other, then no one would die of murder. And it's about, equally practical to that. Ziggy Num Nums asked Gribbs, since adding the pair of spike sheds to your guitar setup, what sort of effect has it made on your tone? Well, let me show you. This is before I added my shed antlers to the top of my guitar amp. And this is after. I feel like I'm doing this whole video with my tongue sticking out of my mouth. Like it's just swollen and all right. Here we go. I had to shoot a wedding yesterday without really talking too much. And I did okay until I had to compose the big group at the end. And I'm like, hey, you guys over there, come over here, and you guys over there. Everybody laughed at me. It's just like elementary school. All right. Grant Reynard asked Gribbs, I got some free flies for fishing. Congratulations. Do I try the flashy Christmas tree flies or the dull brown blackish ones? The bugs I see outside are kind of brown. I mean, how fussy are these fish? Do trout dream of feasting on tinsel? I think they sometimes do. If it would, so this is a matter of some debate. I think size is probably more important than flash. So if you've got a big dull brown fly versus a small Christmas tree fly, I don't it's apples to oranges there. Flash is good in muddy water. Flash is good in low light. But really it just gets the fish's attention. It doesn't convince them to bite. And you can see, I put flash in my woolly buggers, and they will follow a woolly bugger even when they're not hungry. They're just like, what the hell is that? And they follow it. So I would say probably the dull brown or blackish flies would be best if you're fishing for trout in clear water. But I'm just some dude on the internet. I don't know. Les Brady says, what the fuck is Derek Tant's deal? Am I stirring the poo? Hell yeah, I am. I don't know what Derek Tant's deal is. All I can say is heavy is the head that wears the crown. Bo Huntin' Hoosier asks, how many times have you watched 50 Shades of Grey? 0 times. In preparation for answering this question, I did look up some scenes on YouTube, and they were just really cringy, actually. There was no, I did not find them steamy. I found them kind of awful, mostly because the the thespians involved were they were just not good. I'm sorry, but whoever plays the lady is. I think this is the one time when I can say this, and it actually is relevant to the. She's just not that hot. Number one, and number two, she's really bad at what she's doing. I don't know. It just felt really cringy to me. And would you rather smoke a tin of Elizabethan or eat a case of toaster strudels? I'm gonna go with the toaster strudels on this because I'm pretty sure I could keep it down. If I smoke a tin of Elizabethan, that would all come back up. Oh, and it's my favorite type of question. Actually, this is a comment. This was on the Prince Albert is the worst tobacco ever video. Salvador Harden says, oh, in that video I say, yes, this tastes like a tobacco that your grandfather would smoke if your grandfather was a moron. So he says, so someone's grandfather is a moron because they don't like your tobacco. I like it, so by your logic, your grandfather was a moron. Shameful. Hashtag very sad. Very stable genius. All right, Salvador. You know this is supposed to be fun, right? By my logic, if you like Prince Albert, you're a moron. Not everyone's grandfather was a moron. I mean, you could say, you could make the case that society has advanced quite a bit in the last 50 years. So maybe your grandfather was a moron just because they were ignorant of like the latest scientific advances. Or because they smoke Prince Albert. Look, it's a freaking pipe channel about tobacco, man. Why do people take this so seriously? Shameful. I don't feel any shame, so it must not be. Neural Glitch asks Gribbs, what current bands of the metal persuasion, if any, do you enjoy listening to now? Here's my life, Neural. Let me explain this to you. The only time I get to listen to music is when I'm in my car alone. You know how often I'm in my car alone? Like never. When I'm in my car, I usually have my kid. And when I have my kid, we have to listen to whatever the hell he wants to listen to, or it's an issue, right? So I don't have a lot of time to vet new metal acts because, of course, they've got to be true cult for me to really be into them. And that takes a lot of research, making sure they're not too mainstream, so I like The Sword. I'll say this, I like The Sword. They're their last album, which was recorded here in Asheville, North Carolina, by the way. Sucks. But their early work is good, which is the case with any metal, right? The early work is always good, their later work sucks, right? That's how if that's not what you think about every metal band ever, you are not a true metalhead. Your grandfather's a moron. I will say though, and at A3006 disagrees with my choice of Metallica album. He says Ride the Lightning is the best album. It's pretty damn good. It'd be, For Whom the Bell Tolls actually would compete with Harvester of Sorrow for my favorite song too. So the thing I don't like about modern metal, I was listening to Winter Sun the other day. I need fairly straight-laced vocals in my metal. I need like Hetfield is perfect metal vocals. When we get to the I am a cave troll kind of vocals, the Cookie Monster vocals, or the operatic vocals, I have a hard time getting past it to listen to the rest of the music. And then a lot of metal bands these days, they want to write about relationships and compromise, and that's such bullshit. There's only three subjects you can possibly write a good metal song about. Are you ready? Trench warfare, the electric chair, nuclear holocaust. That's it. If your song is about something else, it's not metal. Timber Drifter, of course, had a great story in the comments. Go read it in last week's video. He asked Gribbs, will you be doing any camping this year? I realize that camping with the fam may not work. What about a solo overnight stealth camp? I think I'm going to go on record and say that yes, I am going to do some camping this year. Come hell or high water, I will get my ass in the woods overnight, at least one night this year. I'm trying to arrange a camp very soon with some friends, but my friends like to bail, and so who knows? I who run an outdoor channel on the internet here on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Gribbly's Folly. Anyway, I've never camped by myself because I'm scared of the dark. So that might be a thing we have to do this year. I might have to get over that fear because there are definitely some places I would like to camp, and it's hard to get anyone to go with me. So thank you, Timber Drifter. Everybody go read his story in the comments on the last video. John Waxerani also had a very good comment last week about bullying and the bullies that he dealt with in a school. Excuse me. John asked Gribbs, if you had the chance, would you, now that you are older and wiser, would you confront the bullies of the past with a little payback for all the grief they caused? I think that hurting people hurt people. Bullies are weak little children that got their feelings hurt somehow. I mean, I'd say that like I'm minimizing whatever happened to them, but I think something happened to them, and the bullying is an expression of that. Having said that, the guy that beat me up outside the homecoming dance that I mentioned last week, I later got to cover his trial for statutory rape, and he's in prison now. So, I think that's okay. Kiz says, still level 50? Haven't you leveled up yet? Y'all, I keep telling you this. There's nothing beyond level. That really hurts. There's nothing beyond level 50, okay? You just get deeper into level 50. Kiz also asks, do you have a dog? If so, what breed? Interesting dog breed questions this week. I do not have a dog, and the older I get, the less of a dog person I become. I was always a dog person growing up, always had dogs, but now I find dogs really annoying. And, they're fun sometimes, but the times in which they are fun are greatly outweighed by the times in which they are just annoying as hell. They poop on everything, and they're a threat. I was raised to never trust a dog, even your own dog. And that sticks with me now that I have a little kid who is, by the way, terrified of dogs. And it's not the dogs, it's the owners. Like, oh, your kid is scared of dogs? Well, he won't be scared of mine. Here, pet my dog. No, he's scared of dogs. What makes you think that your dog somehow isn't a dog? He's scared of dogs, not 99.9% of dogs. Your dog is still a dog. Furthermore, don't throw your dog in my fishing hole, ever. And then don't get mad at me that I'm sitting there fly fishing and you're like, sir, don't hook my dog. Well, apparently, you think your dog is a fish. So if it bites my lure, I'm gonna reel him in. Over a pipe, asked Gribbs, in the alternative universe where you had gotten up to no good and caused enough chaos at your school to incur the wrath of local law enforcement, which would you rather have been subdued with? Pepper spray laced with a toaster strudel of Derek Tant's choice, or a 12-gauge beanbag round containing smoking shandy gaff? I'm going to go with the beanbag round here because at least then it would hurt like hell, but it would be over. Like, it's pepper spray sticks, whereas it's smoking shandy gaff, you're going to get hit with it and it's going to bounce off and you're going to have a big bruise. But honestly, not that much, because shandy gaff, like, it's tobacco. It doesn't weigh that much. If it weighed more, we wouldn't be able to drone it into prisoners, right? So I'm going to go with the shandy gaff here, because then at least you'd have bragging rights, like, hey, I got shot by a 12-gauge. Speaking of Tant, Gamecock Piper asked Gribbs to ask Derek Tant, when is the Tennessee meetup? Derek Tant says, what do you care, Mike? You never go. But then he follows up and says, I have a few family events on the schedule during September and October. I really want to make it into Nashville this year, so if it happens, it will be in late October or early November. You heard it here first, directly from Derek Tant. I don't know why. He has his own channel, and he could tell you. Gamecock Piper also asked Gribbs, what does a level 50 shaman hoard besides tobacco? Souls. But I keep them in little mason jars, so they fit right in my cellar. Fireplug 1701D asks Gribbs, Doom on the 32X for Sega. I miss it. Unwashed console gaming masses. Play it on PC. I used to draw pictures of graveyards and stone markers that had the names of my classmates I didn't like. Is that normal? Yeah, I think it is. I think it is, and I would like to hear from some of the older and more wise pipers out there. Like, if you're in your 50s or 60s, you went through school 20 to 30 years before I did. Did you draw pictures like that? Like, did you draw? Because I admitted last week that I drew a picture of my school burning down. Here's Fireplug that says, he drew a picture of his classmates' graves. I think it's normal for kids to need some sort of outlet to express all this. What do you think? And especially, what do you think people that were older, or was this just a 90s kid thing? I don't know. Contemplative Piper says, do you ever smoke cigars? If so, what are some you have enjoyed? I almost never smoke cigars. Cigars are not my thing. I don't generally enjoy them. However, I had developed a taste for the Omar Ortez. Is that correct? And this was years ago, so I don't know if they still make them. Hang on, let me find out. Oh, can we just talk about these pipes that they put on the front page of Pipes and Cigars? I mean, that's hideous. Okay, so Omar Ortez. My tongue really hurts, y'all. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, okay, here they are. We're gonna have to. Omar Ortez Originals. Is that it? Yeah. So there were 3 bandless cigars, Nicaraguans, and these naked sticks come without labels and using them. Back in the day, there were 3 different flavors of them. They weren't flavored cigars, but there were 3 different blends. Very full-bodied smokes. Yeah, Omar Ortez Originals is the closest thing I can find on Pipes and Cigars. In fact, it's the only thing I can find. But back in the day, they didn't have a band, but they had this little like cap on them, and the color of the cap told you very full-bodied. Yeah, okay, so there's like Maduro and Original. So maybe they've just gotten, there were 3 back in the day. I would smoke one of these again, you know, but yeah, in general, not my thing. Oh, we've got a good zombie apocalypse question. All right, Contemplative Piper, Ask Ribs, is a baseball bat with barbed wire wrapped around it or nails driven through it superior to a regular bat in the zombie apocalypse? I'm going to say no here, and I'm on record saying that I would rather just have a baseball bat rather than an edged weapon or, I think I have poison ivy, y'all. It's some outdoor channel I run, right? I got poison ivy and a wounded tongue. All right, anyway. The problem with wrapping barbed wire or driving nails through your baseball bat is if there's one zombie, sure. You're the nails specific. I mean, the barbed wire is not going to do shit to a zombie, right? They don't care. But the nail might, penetrate the skull a little bit better. However, if you have more than one zombie, you run the risk of penetrating the skull and then not being able to get the bat back out. That's the problem with edged weapons too, machetes, axes, that sort of thing. A blunt weapon is you want to break the skull, traumatize the brain, move on, right, to the next undead ghoul trying to eat you. Snuez asks Gribbs, now I'm left wondering, are there breeds of werewolves as there are breeds of dogs? As a level 50 shaman with inside knowledge into these matters, I can tell you there are indeed breeds of werewolves. And, I think it's funny. The bigger, the more boastful the dude, the more likely it is he's a were-wiener dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny how that all works out. Finally, Tickety Boo, asks Gribbs. Tickety Boo, I've never seen you drop a question, so thank you. Do you have a good local microbrewery, and do you like beer? Well, as I mentioned, I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and I think we have more breweries per capita than anywhere else in the country. Let me double check that. Okay, those are old numbers. In 2016, Forbes listed Asheville as the 3rd most densely populated with breweries city in the country, behind Portland and Boulder. So we have a lot of microbreweries. I assume one of them is good, but I wouldn't be able to tell you which one because I do not like beer. For some reason, it kind of starts with I don't like to drink calories, and I just don't find the taste of beer to be inviting enough to make me want to drink calories. So I'd just rather drink a damn glass of water and then have some whiskey. That's pretty much it. And that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Tune in next week when I will answer even more questions and when I will actually be smoking one of the several pipes that, by the way, my experiment with the kernel isn't going well. I was doing good with my kernel fast, only smoking this pipe. And then last week I had a dream about smoking another pipe, my Savinelli, and I did, and now I don't want to smoke the kernel anymore. So I think that my tongue really hurts. I think that this pipe and I are just never really going to get along. So I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to just throw it away. But at the same time, who wants to buy a used corncob pipe? We'll have to think of something. Any ideas? Keep the ends out for the ties that bind. No. Hat first, then guitar.